Shoulders, stay still. This kid is nuts. If this were a classroom, this kid would be in the front row for a reason. Because we've got to keep our eye on him, right? Because this kid's either falling asleep or like waking up and looking around like, can I go to the nurse? Can I go to the bathroom? That kid is trouble. Now, we're talking about everything in the chest, right here, your pecs, everything on the back, like your scapular muscles, but mainly the neck and shoulders. These are a part of my survival. We're gonna hone in on these two muscles. This is my upper trapezius muscle, my shoulder shrugger. And then right here, my sternocleidomastoid. That's my blind spot checker head turner. Put these together, I can raise my shoulders and turn my head. That's cool. That helps me survive because it stabilizes my eyes. That's good. It also helps me to socially engage. Imagine if I were talking to you right now and I don't move my neck and shoulders at all. You don't want to listen to me. You don't want to trust me. So they're a part of my relationship to other people. The most important thing that my survival muscles do here is that if something scares me, shoulders come up and head turns. That's your oldest reflex. There's no getting out of it. We all get something scared like that. Now, these muscles are wasteful because they use a ton of energy and don't provide anything in return. Each of my arms weighs about 5% of my body weight. So no matter what I'm doing, if I'm moving my arms like this, I'm lifting 10% of my body weight. But I'm expanding my chest less than 1%. This doesn't do anything to my chest. So it's dumping energy in, not getting anything back. So if energy is valuable, we're wasting it here. And these are painful. Because of the repeated nature of breathing, even just a little bit of movement in these muscles means that I get headaches, neck pain, shoulder pain. I kind of pull my posture forward. But instead of expanding my chest gradually outward, I pull it up and down, so I get thoracic pain, mid-back pain. And if I'm moving all this up and down when I breathe, I'm either holding my abdomen really tightly like my PT told me to do, or I'm letting it be super loose. Either way, we've got back pain, hip pain, pelvic floor pain, incontinence, prolapse, all because of this. Now, what's so scary, these are the fastest muscles in your breathing system by far, because they're the only ones with no connection to your spinal cord. These two muscles, only two muscles below the face that just go right to your brainstem. So there's this nerve, cranial nerve 11. It goes from my brainstem to just these two muscles. So every time I'm stressed or anxious or afraid or in pain, my shoulders move. That makes sense. We've all been there. But what we don't realize is this is a two-way street. Repeated movement of these muscles sends a tiny little signal of stress and fear and pain right to my brainstem, right to my little pre-Botzinger complex breathing pacemaker. So we breathe how we feel. That's actually why the mouth is such a big deal. Now we know the nose is amazing, it does all these different things, but if I just shut it off and abandon it, I'm replacing it with a big, open, dry hole. So we breathe faster. If we tried to go to that little doggy thing and just went, everything goes up. Not only that, but we get dirtier air, so more inflammation. Drier air, more inflammation. An asthma reaction starts right in the airways. Not only that, but we shape our skeleton. This is where the crooked teeth come in. So thousands of times a day, our skeleton is shaped by our breathing. Dysfunctional breathing means the head grows forward. The jaw grows down, back, and narrow. Not only that, but those same things go all the way down the spine. The shoulder's round, the back sways forward. Everything goes through our breathing because we do it so much. We underserve all these organ systems. We already talked about the whole balance thing. Bone density loss. This is where we get into the chemical element. Breathing is 5 things: physical, chemical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Chemically, it's all about oxygen and carbon dioxide. So if I breathe too fast, I just blow off too much carbon dioxide. And my body needs that. It needs both. So where does it get it? From my long bones. It pulls bicarbonate ions out of my long bones to balance that chemical reaction. So osteoporosis, osteopenia, loss of bone density linked to dysfunctional breathing. The same thing happens in our teeth. Number 1 cause of cavities, mouth breathing. Our kidneys don't pump, our guts don't pump. Remember, poop whisperer, right? Our heart doesn't change size. We only expand the top part of the lungs. We have receptors for our nervous system in our lungs. The top ones are for the fight and flight response. A single breath up here gets us more in that direction. Down here, rest and digest. So bottom line, dysfunctional breathing perpetuates a cycle. Chronic stress, physical, chemical, mental, emotional, and spiritual stress, all increase by dysfunctional breathing, which means I get more inflammation. My body's response to a threat, doesn't matter what it is, that's what happens, which means I get worse immunity, worse healing, worse recovery. and I get weakness. We get weaker in the muscles that get overused and weakness in the muscles that get underutilized. That really leads to poor performance. Maybe that's my balance. Maybe that performance is my endurance or my strength. Maybe that's my digestion or my sleep or my sex life. All of these things are emotional experiences. Shame, guilt, and fear. We breathe how we feel. Shame that I'm not who I used to be or who I could be. Guilt that maybe I have something to do with it and I don't know how to fix it. And fear that it's getting worse. It's not getting better. That pisses me off. All these strong emotions are absolutely linked with chronic pain, and chronic pain leads to more dysfunctional breathing. And honestly, if this was the cycle, my job would be kind of straightforward, but it's like that. Everything is twisted in on itself. One dysfunctional thing sets off a cascade of other dysfunctional things. And what do we say? Just breathe. And I'm part of this. For 3 months, when I first started casually getting obsessed with this, that's exactly how I would coach you to breathe. I'd tell you to take a deep breath in, just like that. Right in front of your thoracic surgeon and your intensivist and your respiratory therapist and your nurse, and they're all like, "You're the best PT, we love you." Meanwhile, I'm harming people. So when I went and learned about breathing mechanics and understood this, I came back with this idea of like, what do I do? How do I take just breathe and change this? Because what's the point of me being a PT? If I'm doing something for your neck or your shoulder or your balance or your pelvic floor, and you're gonna breathe dysfunctionally 40,000 times before the next time I see you, what's the point? So I thought, what if I start with breathing first? That's the thing Academy West is built on. Breathing first, everything else second. Because no matter who you are, this is important. I just needed a patient. And I met this person. This is Patricia. This is in 2019. She was admitted to the hospital. She had to have a drain placed in her lungs. She has end-stage breast cancer. She's going home on hospice tomorrow. Now, that is not a PT diagnosis. That's like a leave me alone diagnosis. I want to be comfortable. She didn't look very comfortable. She's on 5 liters of oxygen and she's struggling to breathe. And I'm watching her going, I just learned this. What do I know? I'm just going to figure it out. And so I spent like 90 minutes getting her to talk about, feel, see, and use 10 words. And when I came back the next day, she said, what we did yesterday made me feel better than anything has in the last 5 years. I want to do this for the rest of my life. And I started Academy West that day. And for like 7 months, she was my only patient. What did I need? I had a full-time job here. This is just a little experiment. But every couple of weeks, I'd see her in her home. And I'd watch her turn down the oxygen. And her sats would stay high. And she could move better. She'd get out of bed on her own. She'd climb the stairs. She'd go outside and watch her son ride his bike. And the same tools that served her in movement served her at the end of her life. Because we breathe how we feel. And nobody wants to die like that. So, big sea change. And then all these people started coming out of the woodwork. One patient after another, all with different stuff. Maybe this person has chest wall trauma. This one has long COVID. This one's got Tourette's. This one's got incontinence. This one's got balance problems. This one's a runner. You name it. All of them. All breathing dysfunctionally. All managed to get this positive cycle where we replace that one that's actually causing suffering with one that helps. Reduce stress. Reduce inflammation using CO2. That really valuable chemical that makes us feel like we want to die is also the thing that's going to help us, right? Boosting immunity, healing, and recovery. Getting stronger with every breath we take. Turns out core strengthening is about how you breathe, not about how many sit-ups you can do. But that means better performance. When you can do something the way you want to be able to do it, or with less pain, or less imbalance, or just more confidence, that's an emotional experience. Love, joy, and purpose. You can't feel those things when a tiger is chasing you. But that's what happens with our breathing. So we're improving quality of life. So yeah, I admit it. Mastering your breathing, which is what I get people to do. I've done it with thousands of people now. It seems audacious, but really, it's a traffic light. I want to give you a life full of green lights. Those 10 words mean efficiency, safety, effectiveness, mobility. After green lights, come yellow lights. I love yellow lights. I'm not telling you to diaphragmatically breathe. We need the whole system to work in the proper sequence. The red lights, not safe. Stress, fear, pain, you're going to cause an accident, you're going to hit somebody. The outsized cost of dysfunctional breathing is so high we can't even wrap our minds around it because we can't even talk about it because we say just breathe.